Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Founders District. I'm so happy to be with you today. And I want to thank Kathy and Jean and Ken for inviting me to be a part of this event this morning. And I'm happier to be here because I want to talk to you about something that I'm very passionate about. And it's something that I know is going to add a new dimension to your leadership and your relationships. That's the power of your personal touch. It's what I call your superpower. Now, a leader's superpower, it's the most positive and impactful personality asset. And it's the part of you that influences, that persuades, and that inspires others to follow. I've used the tagline, "It takes a personal touch," for some time now, since I was a candidate for international director in 2014. I believe that approach is what helped make my campaign a success. So this morning, I'm going to share some examples of people who've successfully used their own superpower. I'm going to give you some practical strategies to create a culture of excellence in your clubs. And I'm going to prove that you can become known as someone with a personal touch. So my story, Founders District, is where my Toastmasters journey began. This is home for me. 37 years ago, I found myself at a club meeting here in the district, and I joined the Anaheim Breakfast Club immediately after that first meeting. And that club, at the age of 59, 2 days ago, continues to earn the President's Distinguished Award regularly. The members of that club made me part of a family. When I competed in a speech contest, every single member from the club went out to those speech contests to support me. When I got married, they came to my wedding. And not only did they come to my wedding, they gave the funniest, the most loving speeches, because you know Toastmasters like to talk. And then when my mom died, they were there to hold my hand. They became my second family, and they remain so almost 4 decades later. So as I worked on this presentation, a question came to mind. Why do so many people stay in Toastmasters for 10, 20, some even 50 years? So I decided I would ask the question of several members, some of whom you may be familiar with. Now, every one of these people is successful in their lives and in their careers outside of Toastmasters, and they will continue to be even without Toastmasters. And yet they stay. So before I share those people, I'd like to get an idea of longevity in this district. So by a show of hands, now I can't see everyone right now, by show of hands, how many people have been in Toastmasters for 5 years, at least 5 years? Okay, let me take a peek here. Okay, how many for at least 10 years? John, Jesse, how about 30 years? Yeah, okay, not so many hands, but a few. 40 years? How about more than 40 years? I just want to prove my point. Let's meet some of these people who have been in for so long. Roberta Perry. Now, she was the District 1 director in 1989 and also served on the Toastmasters Board of Directors from 2010 to 2012. And she's received the highest honor in Toastmasters, and that's the Toastmasters Presidential Citation. Roberta's answer to my question about why she has been in for almost 40 years, it keeps me young. It's my continuing education and a place to see my friends every week. Well, what Roberta left out are the number of people who she's mentored over the years, including me, when I was a candidate for international director. In fact, Roberta was one of the first people to even suggest that I consider a run for the board. And she was there with the best advice on how I needed to change my thinking from operational as a district leader to the more global and strategic approach. She even advised me on which makeup to use when my face would be projected on that gigantic screen at the International Convention. Let me take a sip here. The next person I asked was the 1995 World Champion of Public Speaking and the voice we all hear at every international convention, the voice of Toastmasters, Mark Brown. Mark shared that he has a servant's heart. He enjoys teaching and coaching, and because Toastmasters has changed his life and given him so much, he wants to serve. In 2016, I drove Mark from the District 12 conference in Temecula to John Wayne Airport. And during our time together in that car, Mark so generously answered my questions, and he shared his advice on becoming a professional speaker. Darren LaCroix was the 2001 World Champion of Public Speaking. Darren told me, "I've been given a blessing, and I feel called to continue to help. After we achieve, it is our duty to help others." Another world champion, Lance Miller, won in 2005. Lance said, "As I succeed, my sphere of influence expands. So must my responsibility for the area I now influence. I would not be where I am today if not for the people who helped me along the way. If I want people to be there for me, I need to be there for them." Something we could all say. These leaders, these champions, now make their livings giving motivational and educational presentations, and they're compensated very well for it. And yet, they regularly give those presentations at no charge to districts and clubs around the world. In December, Darren LaCroix drove to Orange County from Las Vegas, paid his own hotel room, his food, and his gas, and delivered an hour-long speech at no charge to the past district governors directors club. He even gave away several of his books and links to free educational videos on his website. And then some years before that, Lance Miller came to the same club to deliver a keynote presentation at no charge, and he offered so much information that benefited everyone at the meeting. Roberta Perry, Mark Brown, Lance Miller, and Darren LaCroix have set an example of service and excellence for all of us. You see, they understand the value and the power of their personal touch, and they're willing to share their secrets with others. Let's go back to my home club, the one I joined in 1987. Well, it was there that I learned what it is to be a leader in this organization. And it wasn't long until I discovered the Toastmasters world outside of the club. And it was a world that offered opportunities to not only compete in speech contests, but to serve as a district, a region, and an international leader. Now, you may have read this article a year ago when our past president, Matt Kinsey, wrote in the magazine, Toastmasters magazine. He shared his first unsuccessful experience as a candidate for international director in that issue. When he wasn't elected in 2014, Matt spoke with district leaders, with past international presidents, and he even hired a business coach to try to figure out what he needed to work on. What Matt discovered through a very brave journey of self-discovery is that he was more focused on results than his relationships with people. To quote the article, one of those blind spots Kinsey faced was understanding heart-led leadership to head-led leadership. Let's take a look at the difference between the two, between your head and your heart. Leading with the head emphasizes logical and analytical decision-making, while leading with the heart prioritizes emotional intelligence and empathetic relationships. Now, for leaders, this is not an either-or situation. Successful leadership often involves a balanced integration of both approaches. And of course, we can see today that gaining that understanding and making those necessary changes and using the power of his personal touch led Matt to the position of international president. So as Toastmasters leaders, you are and will constantly be reminded of the goals that your clubs, your areas, and your divisions need to lead the district to distinguished or better. And Alfred Hertzing would say, Smedley distinguished. You cannot get away from the numbers if this organization is to thrive. And the numbers cannot be achieved without the help of other people. Who are those other people? It's the members. Now, we agree that the numbers are important, but that is not the ultimate goal. According to our second vice president, Stefano McGee, the ultimate goal is to change people's lives. Just sit there for a minute. We are here to change people's lives. What you need to be aware of and sensitive to is that most club members, they're not going to be motivated by club or district goals. They're there to have their needs met by the club. That understanding of the Distinguished Club Program, that's going to come much later. Until that time, it will be your superpower, your personal touch that will motivate them to achieve their goals, which of course we know in turn benefits the club and helps the club reach its goals, thus the district. So let's revisit that lesson learned by past President Matt Kinsey on leading from the heart. How do you as a leader find the balance between head leadership and heart leadership? Have you ever sent a carefully, cleverly crafted email to someone, maybe your leadership team or a committee, or a broader message to the entire membership, and you're promoting this opportunity or an event that's going to benefit them in a very positive way? And what do you hear back? Nothing but crickets. How could they not have been touched and motivated by your message? The opportunity was priceless. But nothing, nada, nil, niente. What was missing? What was missing? It was your power source, your personal touch. A past Founders District governor, who also served on the board of directors, Lauren Kelly, unknowingly demonstrated the power of the personal touch to me 15 years ago. I was very new to district leadership that year. I was the director of public relations, and I was having lunch at the Founders District Conference, which back then was in person and usually in a hotel ballroom. So I was sitting at my table, observing everyone as they were eating and visiting and having a great time. And that's when I noticed that Lauren was not at her table. She was walking around the room, stopping at each table, and we had 15 or 20 tables of 8 people. And she would stop and introduce herself and took the time to speak to each person before moving on to the next table. Now, if she noticed someone who was not engaged in the conversation, she made sure that that person met everyone else so they could be a part of the group. It was in that moment that I made the decision that I wanted to be that person who always puts the needs and the satisfaction of the members first and foremost. That's the power of a personal touch. I saw an article online on a website called medium.com. And on that website, they listed the top communication channels as voice, video, social media, texting, email, and live chat. These are going to be the most common methods you will probably use this year to communicate with your members and your teams. Now, these are proven, they're efficient ways to deliver a message, but they're all still so impersonal. There's a critical element missing. You guessed it, a personal touch. The dictionary defines a personal touch element or a contributed to make something less impersonal. I have my own definition, and here it is. Time and making the effort to discover someone's heart, and through that discovery, helping them become their very best self. In 2010, I was a newly elected Founders District Governor Director, facing the same uncertainty, the same questions as any new leader. What do I do first? How do I prioritize my responsibilities? And who can help me? That is when 3 past Founders District governors rallied behind me. The month before my term began, they came to my home and they spent the entire day helping me prepare for my new position. You see, these women had been in my position and they really understood my anxieties, and they wanted me to not only succeed, but they wanted me to have fun and enjoy the experience. Toastmasters, that was heart-led leadership. The message they gave me was, we have your back. And that made all of the difference. There have been some people in this district who have been the wind beneath my wings, as the song title goes. And I want to acknowledge some of them this morning. The 1994-91st District Governor Luann said to me one time at an event, I see something in you. Long before the 2014 World Champion of Public Speaking, Dhananjaya, said it in his winning speech. Luann saw an area director in me long before I ever knew what an area director did or ever considered the possibility of being in that position. And you know what? I eventually did become one. Another district governor for Founders District, Bob Hudak, showed great belief in me in 2008 when he appointed me the public relations director, and he gave me his total support and encouragement that entire year. That gave me the confidence to pursue further leadership opportunities. And that confidence was fueled by someone else in Founders District who everyone refers to as Queen Mary, Mary Berg. Mary called me one afternoon as my term as public relations director was coming to an end, to tell me, not ask me, not suggest, but to tell me that I needed to go even further in district leadership. Okay. Anyone here who knows Mary knows it's kind of hard to refuse her. And that's what happened to me. I couldn't refuse Mary. I tried, but I took her advice, and eventually Lieutenant Governor of Education and Training, now called Program Quality Director, became the next step on my ladder to district leadership. And Mary, over these past 37 years of my journey, continues to encourage me with words of gratitude and encouragement. And I know many members have been the beneficiary of Mary's personal touch. Folks, with encouragement like that and people like Mary, you just can't help but believe in yourself and believe that you're capable of so much more. Ultimately, that trip up the leadership ladder led me to my 2010-11 term as district governor. My Founders District leadership team helped to lead the district to distinguish that year. We were number 13 in the world after a 7-year drought. As a leader in this organization, you want and you need the members to stay engaged and to continue to contribute to the club and the district's success through their achievement and through their service. The American Psychological Association did some research, and here's what they found. Half of all employees who say they don't feel valued report that they intend to look for a new job in the next year. If a person is willing to risk a paycheck and a position so readily, it stands to reason that a Toastmasters member who's a volunteer, unpaid, and who does not feel valued would find it even easier to walk away from the organization. And they do, at more than 40% a year. Another question came to mind as I worked on this presentation. How can you create an environment where people decide that this is something I want to contribute my talents to for a very long time? So once again, I asked people who are past district leaders and international directors, I asked them for their ideas that you can take away from this meeting and use in your clubs immediately. My question was, what ideas or strategies can be used to add value to the members and to ensure that their needs are being met? So I'm going to start with someone who's here today, Michael Ozier, who served as a District 12 director in 2013 and on the board of directors for Toastmasters 16 to 2018. Here's what Michael shared, and I love this. Be your authentic self. When you see that a guest or a new member is apprehensive, you may want to share your first experience and assure them with, I was nervous at my first meeting too. I imagine you might be. And so I'm going to be there to walk you through the meeting and show you the ropes. You know, for some of us who've been around for so long, it's easy for us to forget those butterflies that seem to accompany new experiences, those butterflies we had the first time we walked into a Toastmasters meeting. So try to be sensitive and tuned into what a new person might be feeling. Another idea of Michael's is to share success stories, those career advancements, the promotions, those opportunities that demonstrate how the Toastmasters program enhances our lives outside of the meetings. We all have plenty of those, I know. Judy Bicknell was a District 100 director in 2021, and now she serves as the co-chair of their Speakers Bureau. Judy is a spark plug, and when she gets involved in a project or she's on a team, you know, ideas just flow, just ooze from her pores and her fingertips. Judy understands the importance of helping guests feel welcome. She advises having a specific plan for welcoming those guests. Write a script that is followed by a greeter and by the rest of the members. And also have a specific plan to follow up with those guests. Who's going to do it? What sort of communication will be used? Will you phone? Will you send a letter, a card, or an email? And what is going to be said in that communication? But first, you have to get those guests to your meeting. And Judy has an idea for that as well. Post engaging photos and videos of club activities, your meetings, and your celebrations on your club website, and I hope every club has a website, and on social media. You see, visual content captures attention, and it has the power to evoke emotions and tell compelling stories. A well-crafted image or a thought-provoking video can ignite curiosity and spark inspiration to find out what is all this excitement about. And once you do those postings, don't stop there. Encourage your members to share those postings on their own personal pages and make their own comments about the activity. My club VPPR, Anaheim Breakfast Club, will do that every week before and right after our weekly meetings. I follow up with my own comments, and then I share it on the Facebook public feed and on my own personal page. There's more from Judy. She went on to advise to always be looking for ways to create exciting and engaging meetings. And the way to find those ideas, ask your members. Ask them this question: what makes my club special and unique? Make it a table topics theme, and then have them talk about what they like most about the club and what it is they want to learn about or see happen in those meetings. Now, I'm a vice president of education in the Anaheim Club, and I know how tempting it can be to plan the same sort of meetings week after week, using the same agenda template, changing only the names and dates. But you won't be providing the excitement and the interest that keeps people returning to every meeting and wanting to be engaged and wanting to be a part of something very special. Randy Ellington served as District 57 director in 2017. Randy makes it a practice of demonstrating that he cares about people, not just as a member, but as a friend. He regularly recognizes all accomplishments, awards, and birthdays, and he does that by sending cards, by making a phone call, and announcing at club meetings. At the end of the year, Randy presents certificates to recognize what each member has contributed to the club. For Randy, Toastmasters is not about the membership numbers. It's about caring about others and helping them find their very best selves. Are you starting to see a pattern here? Mark Lucas was the District 100 director in 2018. He was a region advisor in 21-22 and now a candidate for international director. Mark is another who's very sensitive to the comfort level of guests and members. Mark recommends that you speak with a guest before table topics, before it even begins, to let them know that participation is an option and that they will not be put on the spot. I might add, please have that same conversation with your table topics master. Remind them we do not want to make our guests feel uncomfortable, to give them an option, whether or not they want to participate. Mark also believes in starting new members out slowly, easing them into being a member and into participating in the meetings by having them serve in functionary roles that are not too demanding. And eventually, we know that hopefully time will come that that newer member will want to take on a leadership role in the club. Same thing with someone going into leadership for the first time. Start them out with the less demanding ones like Sergeant at Arms. And then as they get to know more about the club and the program, then they'll be ready to move on to more challenging roles. Now, there's something that many of us will tell guests very often, and that is that Toastmasters lets them work at their own pace. However, they still need to be given opportunities for growth, challenges. So provide those opportunities, but be sensitive to each person's unique needs and abilities. You can see by these examples that there's something more central to a club's success than the numbers. It's not all about the numbers. It's about meeting the needs and ensuring the satisfaction of the guests and the members. And this is accomplished using your special power, your personal touch. People, whether they're employees or volunteers, who feel valued are more engaged, more satisfied, and they show a higher level of commitment and productivity. You can achieve that engagement, that satisfaction, and that commitment through your own power source, your personal touch. Okay, so I keep saying personal touch, personal touch. What is that all about? What is a personal touch? It has certain characteristics that make it so effective. And one of those characteristics is caring about the welfare of people, altruism. This means that you want the people around you to be their very best selves. So what do? You give credit for a job well done, and you don't take the credit for yourself, because you know that encouraging people and building them up makes them and you look better. Another side to altruistic leaders is that they are empathetic and receptive to feedback. And this is an incredible leadership quality. There's another characteristic of leaders with the personal touch, and that's connection. You are not an island, but sometimes novice leaders think it's just easier to do it themselves rather than rely on other people and hold them accountable. But I'll tell you what, this approach is guaranteed to push people away because they won't feel trusted or respected by you. Connection, like altruism, is about caring for and showing respect for your team members. And you connect through open communication and by creating a sacred space where honesty is encouraged. And when people see that they are safe with you, then they're going to be more apt to trust you. Therefore, more willing to accept and work toward a common goal. There's a third characteristic of the personal touch, and that's empathy. This is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. Empathy enables you to respond to those emotional needs of people. For instance, when you see that a club officer or an area director is feeling overwhelmed with the responsibilities of the position, you don't just tell them, hey, you're going to get through this. You take the time to let them express what they are feeling and what they are experiencing. And then you say, I am sorry that you are struggling with this. Let's see what resources and people we have to take some of the pressure off of you. I want this to be a positive experience for you. What it takes is self-awareness and self-regulation to enable us to express to others the empathy, the connection, and the altruism that is a part of the personal touch. This is called emotional intelligence. By understanding how we feel in stressful and threatening situations, then we're better prepared to understand what other people are going through. And the value and the benefits of emotional intelligence are so vast in terms of personal and professional success. It's actually a core competency in many vocations. It can support the advancement toward academic and professional success. It improves relationships with, and it can boost your communication skills. Emotional intelligence is an integral part of forming and developing meaningful human relationships. In fact, Toastmasters has a pathways assignment on understanding emotional intelligence, and I recommend this for every member, even those who are not in leadership positions. Understanding the needs and the desires and the feelings of people can help you build a strong and cohesive relationship with friends, with family, and team members. And this is what those 3 past district governors demonstrated by coming to my home to help me prepare for my role as a district leader. They had been in my shoes, and they understood and they felt all the same insecurities that I was experiencing. Those characteristics of altruism, connection, and empathy are all elements of your superpower. Yep, your personal touch. I wish you could I could bring you home with me and have you look into the closet of my home office. The shelf is filled with boxes of certificates, with awards, with gifts and cards that were given to me by club and district leaders who wanted to demonstrate their gratitude and their support. Each item speaks of the effort and the time required to write a note or find a suitable gift that was meant just for me. A very personal touch. And when you've been a member of Toastmasters for a number of years, your collection of certificates, awards, and gifts gets very large. And yet, I never tire of receiving them. Each one touches my heart, and it creates in me the desire to keep on achieving goals. But these days, not so much for me, but for my clubs and for the district. I want to pay it forward through my service to the members. This is how your superpower can create loyalty and satisfied Toastmasters. Last year, I received an email from Alicia Curtis, who was the District 100 Program Quality Director. Now, I'm in District 100. My 2 clubs are in District 100. Alicia took her valuable time to write to me and congratulate me on my educational achievements and to tell me that I'm valued by the district. Now, I'm willing to bet she probably did that same thing for a number of members with similar achievements. Now, we know Alicia could have created one generic mass email congratulating the achieving members and save time because program quality directors are such busy people. But she chose to use her personal touch and reach out to each member individually. There is so much power in that action. You have the power to help a person feel good about who they are. You can inspire them to strive for greater achievements. And you have the power to motivate people to reach out and give of their time and their talents, resulting in the success of your clubs and the district. I challenge you to do what International President Matt Kinsey did. Take a brave journey of self-discovery to determine whether you lead from the head or from the heart. And if you tend to stay in your head and you're not sure how to become a heart-led leader, just start with small steps. So what are the small steps, Ede? Simply pay attention to what your members are doing. When you see something well done, take a minute to write a card or note of acknowledgement. Make a phone call. Or if that person is right there in the room with you, tell them, you did a great job. We could not have done this without you. And then once you develop that habit, you'll find that you'll begin to look for other ways to express gratitude and support. If you know that someone has a particular hobby or an interest, the next time you want to give that person a gift, then you choose one that incorporates that interest. An example of that is when I chose a gift for an outgoing Founders District governor, I found a gift with the theme of a whale, something that she's very passionate about. There are just so many ways to add your personal touch to your relationships. All it takes is a few more minutes or a small amount of effort to find the path to someone's heart. But Toastmasters, you already know. Just think about the time someone has done something special to recognize or appreciate you, and you have your starting point. A person who's very good at that is past District 1 Governor from 2010 to 11, Giovanna Dottori. Giovanna also served as president of the Past District Governors Directors Club, of which I'm a member. And I share this with you because last year, one club member lost her husband. One's wife had a stroke, and my husband had emergency surgery. Giovanna took the time to call each one of us to see how we were doing and to ask if there was anything she could do for us. I received a call plus 2 emails from her to check in and be sure I was okay. Then, just over the past 2 weeks, my husband was once again having an emergency procedure, and once again, Giovanna was contacting me to see if there's anything she could do for me. That's the personal touch in action. There's a story about a cafe in France that had coffee listed on their blackboard at a price of €9, about $9 in the US. Pretty expensive coffee. However, below the price, the owner had written this: if the customer says, good morning, good afternoon, bonjour, merci, the price is €5. That shop owner wanted to remind people that a personal touch, kind words, or kind actions can have a positive benefit for all involved. And it did work. His customers did become much friendlier and probably even spent more money. I believe that if you apply the Toastmasters values of respect, integrity, and service, and excellence to all your relational interactions, you'll always be known as someone who cares, someone with a personal touch. Now, there's a person in District 52 who embodies the personal touch. His name is John Murray. John has been described as a shining star and the 2022-23 Toastmaster of the Year. John has served in many district leadership roles through the years, and he's also served as a mentor to many of their members and their district leaders. One of those leaders was awarded the Area Director of the Year. Now, a mentor, as John is a role model. They're a cheerleader, an advocate, and a friend. But they're also unselfish with the personal time that one gives to the protege. And John continues to use his superpower, his personal touch, to create an environment in which district members can flourish and succeed. John is a superhero. This event is filled with superheroes. Each of you has your own power source. Just take those small steps I mentioned. Instead of an email or a text, write and mail a note, make a phone call, or look at the person next to you and say, I see something special in you. Above all else, be genuine. People want to know that you are genuine, that your emotions are authentic. Genuine leaders walk their talk every day. And when people are authentic, there's a certain purity to their interactions and their conversations, and others can sense it. But they can also see through an act. You cannot fake this. So today, I share the reasons that people stay in Toastmasters year after year and why they continue to give back. You see, along their Toastmasters journey, there was someone who was their role model, their cheerleader, their advocate and friend. And now they feel it's their turn to be that for someone else. And as I shared, I have my own superheroes in this district. And because of what I received from them, I want to pass it on to you. Also shared with us were strategies that can be used to add value to the members and to ensure that their needs are being met. I'll review some of those. And be sensitive and tuned into what a new person might be feeling. Remember how you felt that first time. Share success stories, those career advancements, the promotions, those opportunities that demonstrate how the Toastmasters program enhances our lives outside of the meeting. Have a specific plan for welcoming guests and for following up with them. Create exciting and engaging meetings and post those meetings and events on social media. Show members that they are more than a number to you by acknowledging their achievements. And ease new members into those meeting roles and eventually into those leadership opportunities. You can remember the characteristics of the personal touch as an acronym, ACE, A-C-E, altruism, connection, and empathy. And it's our own emotional intelligence that will help us to develop those characteristics in ourselves. Invest time to discover the value and the benefits of emotional intelligence, and that it's so important in terms of your personal and professional success. Now, Kathy is going to drop a handout I created into the chat for you, and you can download that and refer to it later. Right now, I want to offer kudos to you for being here today. I know that some of you are already experienced in your roles, but you realize the value of these trainings. And through the years, I have had more than once had to explain to a club officer who was repeating their position why they need to go to training. You know that attending upgrades the quality of your leadership. You know, people will stand in line all night to upgrade their cell phone. I've seen them stand in line all night in front of Best Buy. You didn't have to do that to be here today, and it sure didn't cost you anything to be here. And after this presentation, you're going to go into your specific leadership role training. Use the ideas and the tools that you will receive today to upgrade someone's life and to lead your clubs and the district to success. Put on your superhero cape and take the time and make the effort to discover someone's heart. And through that discovery, help them become their very best selves.